Demurring the moving truck pull away, the standard issue rain blurred the windshield of Ethan's 2008 Honda Civic. Inside the small duplex, Claire left her house key on the kitchen counter, alongside a stack of overdue utility notice and a half-empty mug of instant coffee. "I can't do this anymore, Ethan," she said, her voice quiet, detached and utterly exhausted. "Love doesn't pay the rent. I'm tired of counting pennies for grocery while you chase a business idea that only bleeds us dry." Ethan hadn't really argued, looking at the hollow, tired eyes of the woman he had loved since college. He knew he couldn't force her to stay. He had spent 3 years sinking their modest saving into Aura, automatic risk assessment software for supply chain logistics, and all they had to show for it was $42,000 in debt and a mountain of rejected pitch deck. When the front door clicked shut, the silence in the apartment felt physical. Ethan sat down at his makeshift desk in the living room, stared at his laptop screen, and went back to the coding. The next 18 months were a blur of cold showers, instant noodles, and relentless iteration, fueled by a bitter mist of heartbreak and a shared survival instincts. Ethan overhauled the core algorithms of Aura. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. A regional manufacturing firm agreed to test the software during a major global shipping bottleneck. Aura predicted three critical career bankruptcies days before they occurred, saving the firm nearly $12 million in lost cargo. Within 6 months, the word spread through the tech sector. By the end of the second year, a global enterprise software conglomerate acquired Aura for $85 million. Overnight, Ethan's life inverted. He moved from the cramped duplex into a sunlit penthouse overlooking the city harbor. He bought his first tailored suit, cleared every debt he owed, and hired a wealth manager. Yet, despite the bespoke furniture and enhanced couch, the penthouse often felt just as quiet as the old apartment. Claire sat in the break room of the design firm where she worked as a junior layout coordinator, staring at her own phone screen. A full features article was open in her browser. From rock bottom to $85 million, how Ethan Vance rebuilt supply chain. Their complete photograph saw Ethan in front of a floor to ceiling glass window, dressed in a sharp charcoal suit. He looked older, leaner, and undeniably confident. John was the perpetually stressed man in faded huddle who fell asleep at his keyboard. Claire felt a sudden sharp ache in her chest. In the 2 years since he left, her own life had stalled. She was living in a noisy one-bedroom apartment, dating a sensible accountant named Mark, who bore her to tears and still checking her bank balance before ordering takeaway. She had convinced herself that leaving Ethan mature, rational, mature was the mature, rational choice, a necessary sacrifice to escape financial instability. See him now, glowing with success. The narrative she has constructed shattered. It wasn't just the money that made her heart drop. It was the realization that she had abandoned him right at the finish line. She had chosen safety over belief, abandoning the man who had loved her unconditionally through his darkest hour. The invitation arrived 6 months later, a fundraising gala for a local children's hospital, where Ethan was listed as a key benefactor. Scan spent 2 days taking herself out of going before finally buying a ticket she couldn't really afford. The ballroom was a sea of sick tuxedos and crystal chandeliers. Claire stood near the perimeter, clutching a glass of champagne, her eyes searching the crowd. And then she saw him. Ethan was talking to a group of investors, listening intently with a relaxed smile. He looked centered, as if sensing her gaze. Ethan turned. Their eyes locked across the crowded room for a second. The ambient noise of the party faded into low hum. Enter murmur and excuse to his group and walked straight towards her. "Claire," he said gently, stopping a few feet away. His voice was warm, completely devoid of anger. She had secretly feared. "Hi, Ethan." She managed, her hands trembling slightly. "You look incredible. Congratulations on everything. I saw the news about Aura." "Thank you," he said, taking a subtle sip of his drink. It was a long room, I, Claire, swallow her, feeling the weight of 2 years passing down on her throat. I'm sorry, Etta. I'm so sorry for walking out when the things were there was. I lost faith when you needed me to have seen it. Seeing you here, seeing what you have built, I realize now what a mistake I made. Ethan looked at her for a long moment, his expression soft but unreadable. You remember the cool rainy mornings he left, the empty counter, and the bone deep lonely that followed. Claire entered, said quietly, stepping a bit closer. You don't need to apologize for wanting stability. It was a terrifying time, and I gave you plenty of reason to be scared. All flick in clear chest. All sharp. Ethan is there. Do you think we could ever try again? Grab dinner sometime? Just to take a look. Ethan look at her, really look at her, and the subtle shift inside told her everything before he even spoke. The anger was gone, but so was the longing. I'll always be grateful for the year we shared, Claire. Ethan said,